Hello everyone, how's it going? So, this is our first ever battle video of the new Wrath of Cause 2. And it's basically a couple of pre-games what we did and recorded beforehand, so you will see a lot of edits, and obviously I'm voice-overing this video in particular. So, I'm going to get straight to the point. Very simple to play. You roll a die to see who goes first. At the start of every turn you gain 2 charges, and then you use those charges to play cards. Obviously the cards get placed in their respective slots. So straight off the bat, my co-friend manages to play one of the Royal Rares in her deck, which she only has 2 of, and it just happens to be Celeste, and she is very card draw happy, and she can attack straight away. So she hits, kills my assault unit off. That leaves me with a bad start because I'm back down to 2 charges with no defences. So second turn in for me, I play a basic common knights unit, and I decide to go straight for the core. As long as this card rolls, I believe it's a 3 or more, I can deal 1 point of damage to the enemy core, which was successful. So, passing the turn, let's see what she plays. She plays a reinforced unit. Now, this combo is really well. This unit is artwork obviously brought forward from Wrath of Cause 1, and that basically boosts any nymph units stats. So both of those cards are actually playing really well hand in hand together. She manages to kill off my assault unit, and it passes to my turn where I'm lucky enough to draw 2 lightning strikes to kill off the reinforced units. Now what I need to watch out for is if my partner decides to draw more than, I think it's 2 or 3 cards in one turn, she can draw an additional 2 cards with the ability of Celeste, so I need to get that royalty rare out of play as soon as I possibly can. She attacks for directly to the core, and I take 1 point of damage because I have no defensive units. If a player has a defensive unit, like what she just plays now, then I cannot attack the enemy core directly, because I have to get rid of that unit first before hitting the core. So again, on a very offensive start, she rolls a 4 and manages to knock me down to 8 points. Aim of the game is very basic. You've got to reduce the enemy core down to 0. I charge my core twice but don't play a card, so next turn I will have 6 charges on my core, and the turn is obviously my partner's turn. She plays another assault unit which is called a lightweight ballista. This has a very specific set of rulings, which basically means it can attack a unit, it can attack a core. However, if it's attacking the core, it requires 2 less on the die roll, so it's better for it to attack the core than it is an enemy unit, because otherwise it needs a 4 to hit. So she manages to hit my core twice and reduces me down to 6 life. Now, my turn, I draw. I've got 6 charges, which means I can play a pretty decent unit, and I managed to get out one of the higher powered knight units. I can attack Celeste straight away, judging that my unit hits, and it rolls a nice hefty 6. Obviously the higher the number the better, and my core ability basically states whenever a unit of mine kills an enemy unit, I get to charge it. When I reach 5 charges, I believe, it can give one of my units a nice little attack boost, so that's pretty cool. My partner's turn, she attacks my core directly with the ballista, takes me down to 5 points. So I'm already at 50% health, so it's not a great start for me. Now she does trigger the ability of Rhea, which basically means whenever I draw a card, she can draw a card also. I think that's what it is. I'm actually recording the voiceover on my phone, so it's really hard to try and see what a lot of the abilities do, but I managed to put some amplification onto my knight unit, which will hopefully kill off the defensive, which it does, and Rhea is out of the game. So Rhea is a rare card and very powerful at best, so that is one of them things where, oh no, sorry, Rhea's ability is whenever I draw a card, she can deal me 1 point of damage directly. So yeah, Rhea's very powerful. My partner's turn, she gets a nice defensive unit back out to help protect her core, and she attacks my core with a ballista, what only requires a 2, knocking me down to 3 health. So I'm already getting pretty low, getting battered. So I managed to pull out a defensive unit, which is basically a common defensive. I decided to use my Heavy Knight to attack the defensive Octopus, which has no abilities, it's just a basic defender. And I think that just about manages to hit. I believe the Heavy Knight Warrior needs at least a 3 to hit, which fortunately for me it hits. So, passing the turn, the Heavy Ballista has to go for my defensive unit. She needs a 4 to hit, and I didn't see the die roll on that. No, it missed. So unfortunately she couldn't do anything that turn, which saves me a turn. Heavy Knight Warrior decides to attack the enemy core, and it hits with a 5, knocking my opponent down to 8 health. So I'm finally starting to get a bit of better play on my side here. Enemy core charges, and they get to play a unit, an assault unit, which is the Territorial Wyvern. Not particularly great in this deck because it's only really beneficial if it's playing against a dragon deck, but it missed nonetheless. And then the lightweight ballista goes to attack the defensive, and that one does actually hit and kills off my defensives. So now my opponent can actually hit me twice in one go if I don't get a defensive out, or if I don't deal with those offensive units. So I play a second assault unit. I think this is Knight of Goodwill, and it gives one of my units a buff under certain circumstances. So attacking the Wyvern, because that's probably my second biggest problem, and that hits and kills off the Wyvern, charges my core, and then I go to attack with the Knight of Goodwill, and that one misses unfortunately. So I still need to try and get rid of that lightweight ballista because it is dealing me some serious damage. I'll pass the turn to my opponent. She uses a couple of charges to put the tentacles down there. The tentacles is a low cost defensive unit which basically forces me to target that card specifically. So on my turn now, I cannot, unless I get rid of those tentacles, I cannot hit the other unit. So obviously I need to attack and kill off this defensive unit, which it does, fortunately enough for me, and then that triggers a buff on my fellow knight unit. It gives them all a +1 permanent attack. So I'm going to go straight for the core now because there's no defensives in play, trying to get the opponent's health down a little bit. That is a 3, and that hits, reduces my opponent down to 7 HP. And then I pass the turn. She gains her 2 charges. And then she doesn't do any. Oh no, she doesn't play anything, but she does attack with the lightweight ballista. Does need a 4 to hit, and she does so. That kills off my defensive unit, and then it passes the turn to me. I get my card, pay my 2 charges, and I get another common defensive unit out. Nothing particularly powerful about that common unit, but my assault units, I've got a rare and an uncommon in play. Both targeting the enemy core. I believe one hits, and the second one hits, hopefully. Yes, they both hit. So that takes her down to 5 HP. And then it's my opponent's turn. She gains her charges. Pays, I believe that was 3 from what I can see. And puts a devastating worm down. And attacks one of my powerful knight units. Straight off the bat, she manages to roll a 6 and kills off my unit instantly. Then she attacks the defensive unit with her lightweight ballista, requires a 4 to hit, and she does. So she kills two of my units in that turn. So again, now she is currently the MVP at the moment. I get a common assault unit out, decide to attack the devastating worm with my uncommon knight unit. I believe I need to roll a 4, but that misses, so unfortunately that doesn't kill off that heavy unit. And one of my units in play to attack. I use my core's ability then to power up my basic common knight to try a second shot at killing off the devastating worm. Let's have a look, see what did we get. That was a hit. So fortunately it took me 2 attacks, but eventually I got that devastating worm out of the way because nobody wants a 7 attack unit on the field, especially if it's your opponent's. So my opponent's turn. She takes her charges, and plays down an action card what kills off my common assault unit. That is just a basic fireball that deals 2 damage to any one unit in play, so it's not bad for getting rid of those reinforced or the cheap common units. Attacks the core directly, only requires a 2 to hit, and she does, puts me in critical. I'm on 1 HP. If I don't get any defensives out, then unfortunately it will be game. I make a mistake here and I accidentally play battering ram, which can only target defensive units. I shouldn't have played that. That was a bad move by me, but I wanted to attack that lightweight ballista and get that out of play. Fortunately for me, that hits and clears the field of my opponent. So I am currently got advantage on the field. Obviously I've got to be really careful with my core now. Now here is a pretty good combo. So she plays Death's Revival, which allows her to lose 1 HP off her core. However, she can search her graveyard or the discard pile for an unit card and put it back in her hand. And then she used her core's ability, which has fully charged, and manages to free play the Royal Rare back from the graveyard into her hand and straight into play, which is Celeste. So now I've got a copy of a Royalty Rare card, which I really need to get rid of. Again, Celeste isn't the most combat efficient unit, but she can still attack the core to win. So if she rolls, and I play a battle response of Caltrops, which basically stops the battle for the turn, for the battle phase. So fortunately, I managed to survive that turn with a Caltrops. So that's a really, really effective card to put in the deck. As you can just see, it saved me the game. My turn, I charge my core and I put a reinforced unit down, which is Training Dummies. Training Dummies gives an attack boost, and it assists the assault unit by reducing the die roll that is required. So we are attacking the Royalty Rare, and fortunately for me, I managed to roll a die high enough and kill it off. The battering ram cannot attack the enemy core, unfortunately, which was a bad move for me a couple of turns ago. My opponent plays no action, so she's just charged her core, and then it passes to me, in which I go for the core directly, trying to knock it down to 3. But unfortunately it misses and only rolls a 1. So I pass the turn. My opponent charges. She has four charges to play with, and again decides to play nothing on her turn. So it looks like she's saving the charges up for something big and meaty. I take 2 charges and I play a common defensive unit. I think that's the 3rd time we've seen that card be now in play. And I roll and I manage to hit the enemy core, lowering my opponent down to 3. So the game's getting quite tense now because I've got the upper hand on the field, however I'm only on 1 HP. My opponent draws and plays, I believe, is that 3 for a copy of Meteorite, which is an extremely powerful rare card, and she combos that with another Meteorite and clears out my defensive unit and my... what else does she target? And yeah, I think she managed to Meteorite my defensive and my assault unit, the only one which can attack, passes the turn to me, and then I replace it with a charging swordsman. It gains a buff basically whenever it rolls a 6. So attacking the enemy core, that's a hit, reducing my opponent down to 2 HP. Battering ram cannot attack, so I pass the turn, and she's back down to 2 charges. Alright, so the first Krylisian of the game, a 1-cost agile Krylisian, going for the core, very agile, managing to play it off the bat. She needs a 2, I think it's to hit, and that is a hit, and the winning unit, killing unit, is a agile Krylisian. So my opponent wins this match. There we go, Killing Blow is the agile Krylisian. Whenever it counter attacks, it can gain 1 extra attack. That's a really good unit, to be fair, 1 cost with the ability to become free too. So yeah, and that is the first ever battle test video for, of Wrath of Course 2, so I hope you enjoyed that, and if you've got any questions be sure to leave down a comment below and let me know what you think. Thank you very much guys, I shall see you next time.